How many more legal states are we going to have before cannabis gets its federal reform? Might actually already be there. So most states have passed some type of cannabis reform. Only 6 consider it fully illegal. Yet on the federal level, cannabis prohibition has yet to be repealed. So lawmakers are dragging their feet, but we've got 16 states that are considering cannabis legalization bills in 2021. Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your cannabis business podcast, to break down this potential final legalization push at the federal level. Katrina Glogowski, angel investor and attorney. Katrina, thanks for being back on the podcast.
Thanks, Josh.
Let's take a look at this article here. We've got 16 states considering cannabis legalization bills in 2021, according to Cannabis Business Times. You got more than a dozen state legislators considering medical or adult use legalization this year as momentum builds in 2020. So we saw 5 states pass, and the House approved the MORE Act. So what's that going to mean down the road?
It means good news, Josh.
It does. I mean, hopefully, banking, as we kind of were mentioning offline, is going to be a part of that, because it's going to help a lot of these companies scale and expand and just operate more efficiently with banking. I think it kind of goes hand in hand, banking and federal legalization. So if one happens, the other will. But this might be the final drive. You got a lot of states right here that are looking at that. New Jersey finally just got their wording all put down. Virginia became officially the 16th state. I thought they were the 17th, but it's maybe 16th state. So after that, you've got the whole slew right here. So Connecticut on the top of the list. You got the governor announcing that his state of address in January that they're going to make cannabis a priority. They introduced a bill to make it a goal. And so Connecticut driving forward.
That makes sense, since legalization is pretty extensive there in the Northeast, and you don't want Connecticut to miss out on that tax revenue.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got plenty of state residents kind of going to the border and crossing and getting it where it is available. So why not just make it official and take some of that money? Florida definitely doesn't have a problem taking money. So there was a House rep and a senator that both filed complementary bills this year to legalize adult use. So it looks like there's a House bill that would legalize cannabis for people 21 and older.
And this also makes sense, Josh, because they just legalized medicinal cannabis a few years ago. They're still bumpy rolling that out, but makes sense to just tack on adult use as well. And I think that'll be the trend you see going forward as states realize that medicinal cannabis is not a catastrophe and is not a asteroid coming to destroy their state. They'll stop this hodgepodge legalization and just legalize it across the board.
Yeah, back to the Northeast, Maryland, they want their jazz cabbage. So there's a Jazz Lewis introduced a comprehensive cannabis legalization bill. Also looking at trying to get some money out of there. So another state with Minnesota, also spearheading adult use. New Mexico, kind of surprised they haven't had it already.
I'm surprised about New Mexico as well, but
yeah. New York, they're dragging their feet. Cuomo's got a whole host of issues he's trying to deal with from the whole pandemic, and we'll see we'll see how long he's in office for. But regardless, New York is definitely going to legalize or regulate cannabis because New Jersey already did, and they're not going to miss out on the tax revenues.
Exactly.
North Dakota, same thing. They got some FOMO from South Dakota, and with oil, maybe being an issue in the wintertime, they're going to look for cannabis to help with their revenues. I don't know what else they do up in North Dakota.
Yeah.
Texas is going to be huge. So they've got a they've had dry counties with alcohol. So I would anticipate the same thing to happen with cannabis as people opt out, counties opt out. But in November, there was an adult use. Looks like there was a Senate bill in November to legalize. So it's estimated that that would create 30,000 jobs in Texas and be a $3 billion in revenue. That's about 75% of what um, California is making. So that could be huge.
Josh, I am on record saying that legalization and the debate about legalization will end when Texas legalizes cannabis. And so if we can convince Texas, that's it. Because Idaho, you're never going to convince Idaho, but Texas is one of those stalwart states. And if Texas legalizes, of course, with Mexico has already legalized, so why not legalize in Texas to prevent that cross-border cannabis tourism and losing the tax revenue? So yay for Texas. If you're in Texas, vote, because Texas is the last major state to fall.
That'd definitely be quite the signal with a conservative state like Texas. I think my harbinger is DC. If we can get shops in DC to open up and producer processors in DC, cannabis cafes in DC, that would be, I think, the biggest catalyst. Obviously, if lawmakers could see that and it normalizes in DC, then everyone else would follow. But Texas is huge. $3 billion is a lot of money. So definitely be looking at that. Virginia, they already legalized. So I guess this came out, like last week or something, because they definitely are legalizing.
Mm-hmm.
But they came out, I think, in October, basically, or November, and said, yeah, we see where the money's at. We're looking at the revenue. Just flat out was all about the money.
Well, Josh, wasn't it Virginia that had some constitutional challenges to their statute because they put more than one topic in the bill?
Right. And so it's going to be 3 years. So 2024 is going to be when they roll out. They had some issues where two competing bills had multiple things. And so they're going to have to iron all that out, but it'll get there eventually.
So maybe this is just the cleanup of that.
Got some medical issues. Our states coming on board too, which is generally the first step towards a regulated state. So we'll see Alabama and Kansas, Kentucky, Nebraska, and Tennessee. Kentucky, I said, is going to have to be one of the next states to legalize because they have one of the worst or underfunded pension plans in the country. So for the state pension plans for teachers or firefighters, police officers, whoever takes a pension in Kentucky, they have the worst pension plan, the most underfunded in the country. States that might do both simultaneous medical and adult use could be South Carolina and Indiana. Both of them broke and need that cash.
Well, I think what this is a sign of, Josh, is cannabis legalization was viewed as a liberal issue, and you had the West Coast went first, and the sky did not fall, and babies did not die. So then the other coast, New York and Massachusetts, New Jersey, I'm sorry, not New York, and Florida legalized, and the sky did not fall and babies did not die. And now you are having the middle catch up. And I wait for the day that cannabis legalization in Kentucky is not news.
Right. Yeah. But again, to make all of this work, we're going to have to get probably banking to cooperate. And so with the Democrats kind of taking the House and the Senate and the presidency, maybe the banking committee will get on board with allowing for it and providing for businesses to compete. there's a lot to that, right? Just being able to make a deposit is one thing, but to apply for a loan for all kinds of reasons, to be able to write off employee wages on your taxes is huge. That's the number one expense, on your balance sheet is labor, and 280E is incredibly prohibitive. And so if we can eliminate all of that, we'll definitely see a lot of growth and a lot of consolidation, a lot of change.
Right. Well, with the current administration's promise to, at the very least, address federal legalization, hopefully these changes come sooner rather than later. And I'd like to see them addressed in 2021, be it a federal sales tax, be it descheduling, be it banking regulations allowing access to credit. And of course, the big elephant in the room is 280E. So the Biden administration has an opportunity here in one fell swoop to clean this up, and in exchange, attach a federal sales tax like a gasoline tax to cannabis across the board, and solve some of the debt. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, probably not a priority. It's not going to happen in the next year or two, but it's going to happen eventually. Just kind of have to come back to the Talking Hedge and find out. I want to thank my guest, Katrina Glogowski, angel investor and attorney. Thanks for being back on the Talking Hedge.
Thanks, Josh.
With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.
Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.